Total War Warhammer 3 has got to be hands down the biggest release that Creative Assembly has been gearing up for. It's the finale in a 5-year-old trilogy, the apex of what Creative Assembly can do in a fantasy world, and without a doubt has a lot of pressure to perform well. All evidence in the first half of 2021 pointed to a late third quarter, early fourth quarter release, albeit no release date was actually given at any point. Well, that's been put in some serious doubt as of late, to the point where I'm guessing a 2022 release is becoming more and more evident, with a delay announcement due any day now. Hello everybody, this is Havoc, and welcome to my video on why I believe Total War Warhammer 3 is not going to release until late spring of 2022, possibly even into the summer. Right off the bat, I want to confirm that this entire video is of course pure conjecture. I have no evidence that 100% supports my claim, but the pieces that we are being served, rather the lack of pieces being served or implied, all seem to point that way. There are three primary subjects in today's video: a confusing and abnormal marketing campaign on Creative Assembly's part, Big Daddy Games Workshop's chaos effect, and what can be seen as a lackluster response to the Survival Battles event released back in May of this year. So, sit back, relax, and maybe weep a little bit as I work through the inevitable why Warhammer 3 might be delayed into 2022. Beginning with the abnormal and marketing campaign on Creative Assembly's end. Now, as this is conjecture and I'm not part of the marketing team for CA, it's safe to say that a typical Total War Warhammer marketing campaign begins with an announcement trailer, feeds that hype by showing off some unit spotlights, blog spots, maybe toss in some faction overviews, map flyovers, and of course, content creator events. And indeed, that's what we received for the most part so far. Warhammer 3's announcement trailer launched in February, paused for a month for the Rome Remastered launch, and then went back at it hard throughout the month into May and into June with gameplay reveals and unit spotlights of clashes between Kislev and the first Chaos faction, Khorne. Things were gearing up for what we could safely assume to be more faction reveals, including Cathay, the other Chaos realms, and maybe, just maybe, the pre-order bonus factions. But the videos ended with a simple unit spotlight, and then the marketing campaign fell into the realm of blogs with the first time AMA Discord event covering what's been shown so far, and even a rather insightful and hopeful blog on some battle revamps coming to the game, more specifically sieges and minor settlements. Things continued to cool down after 2 months of holy chaos hell, and then the last blog dropped, announcing some sneak peeks of other chaos units and a gap in content until September. The marketing approach so far is rather odd. Why go full steam forward, trailers and videos left and right, building, to a 2-month break? We'll be back in September? Seems like you were pushing for a September-ish, give or take a few weeks, release when you started back in February. Something's not right here. And, well, it's not exactly right according to their last few release schedules. A Total War Saga Troy was announced June 2nd of 2020, released just over 2 months later, August 13th, 2020. Now, that's a Saga title, and of course had the whole epic deal mixed in. 2 months is a super crazy time release, so that can be maybe pushed aside, I suppose, but not entirely forgotten. But what about Total War 3 Kingdoms? May it rest in peace. It was announced January 10th of 2018, scheduled for a fall 2018 release. It was delayed twice. First until early spring of 2019, then to May 23rd of 2019. But even then, there was consistent monthly content releasing, showing off aspects of the game and all its variety. So theoretically, we were looking at an 8-month release marketing cycle, but with consistent videos and blogs showing things off at least once a month, and including a content creator event in the UK and over in San Francisco. Alright, well, let's dive into Total War Warhammer 2. Warhammer 2 was announced March 31st, 2017, released September 28th of 2017. Warhammer 2's marketing cycle was just 6 months, and again, consistent content throughout. I could go further and further back, but it's safe to say that on average, we are looking at a 6 to 9 month max marketing cycle that's full of content that kept people engaged with the games and built hype, maybe Troy aside, up until release. With this in mind, Warhammer 3's announcement on February 3rd places release at the earliest in September, at the latest, without a delay, November. In these first 7 months, we've seen 2 of the 6 races, a handful of unit spotlights, and a single actual battle in the survival battle event. It's not Creative Assembly's style to leave out campaign flyovers, other faction reveals, campaign mechanics, and, most importantly to me at least, the rework on sieges and settlement battles. So even if we started, say, the second week of September, say Tuesday, Newsday the 14th, with a hypothetical release date of the middle of November before the American Thanksgiving holidays, that's 8-ish weeks to reveal 3 to 4 times more content than they've released in the first 4 months of marketing. Creative Assembly has never released so late in the year though, and I have no reason to believe they'd make an exception for a game of this magnitude. A release schedule over the next 8 weeks is completely feasible, mind you. A new race every 2-ish weeks, broken down in a faction reveal video, unit spotlights, legendary lord spotlights, but then comes the campaign mechanics, of which we've seen none, and then the story setup, which hasn't been fully revealed to us yet. Oh, and let's not forget that pre-order bonus faction. Gotta get that juicy reason to pre-order before release. And there's the issue. There is such a thing as marketing overload, overloading the senses of your audience to the point where they just become numb. Give too much information for your community to chew on too quickly and they'll lose interest, regardless of what they say in the comments across social media. Then there's the marketing and content team. It's an unrealistic amount of content to produce, quality check, load up, and schedule. Total War's track record with loads of content like this has not been stellar, and this would put a ton of pressure on multiple teams all at the same time. This isn't what CA is likely to do. Why burden yourself to meet an unrealistic deadline on your biggest title? November is risky, but you know what isn't? 5 months or more from now. Spacing your content out like 3 Kingdoms, maybe a video a week, or a big video 1 week with unit spotlights sprinkled throughout the next. Spacing that content out over several months drip feeds the hype without overload and gives everyone breathing room. It's the smartest decision for Creative Assembly to make, and they've repeatedly dropped bad news as early as possible before. That way, the community gets riled up and pissed off, fading away after enough time to where we forget that we were pitchfork ready just months before. So that sudden change in marketing makes sense so far, and it's the biggest flag pointing towards an inevitable delay announcement, most likely coming in September, along with that possible siege rework battle video. But marketing isn't a reason to delay. It's not the cause, it's the result. And in my opinion, Creative Assembly is actually not to blame in this part at all if it's true. The cause might be Games Workshop, and there are 2 big picture reasons for it. I'll admit this first reason is a bit loose cannon, and very much not as proof-ridden, yet, knowing how Games Workshop has operated lately, it's still very feasible, and that's Warhammer Plus. For those that do not know what Warhammer Plus is, it's essentially an online streaming and asset platform that launched on August 25th, and it's completely and totally dedicated to all things Warhammer, with Warhammer content of all mediums, genres, brands, storylines, and canon types, of course, owned and operated solely by Games Workshop. This service has both monthly and yearly subscription models with loads of content inside. I cannot vouch for its content quality, but apparently there's a ton of crap in there. Games Workshop has been pushing marketing like crazy leading up to launch, and it's currently still in some rather hot water for shutting down sites, YouTube channels, and other mediums that generate any sort of Warhammer content that might take away from their service. If it's content anyone but Games Workshop was making money from, it got shut down. That's a different subject, but it still has relevance to a delay for Warhammer 3. With GW shoveling the idea of Warhammer Plus content down the community's throat, why would they want the largest Warhammer game currently on the market to launch right at the same time, with YouTubers and streamers generating thousands of hours of content that GW cannot monetize, and that doesn't point to their new service. It's a stretch, I'll totally admit, but with GW's antics leading up to Warhammer Plus, as I said, it's not outside a reason for them to want to keep the free, unfiltered Total War Warhammer 3 content on the down low while they launched their biggest service in the company's history. Chew on that for a little bit, and let me know what you think in the comments section. We're not done with Games Workshop though. Warhammer Plus may not be justifiable enough, yet there's another piece of GW that's currently in development that has certainly released content in tandem with Creative Assembly's marketing, and that's the Old World for Warhammer. GW's Warhammer The Old World is a revamp of the core aspects of the fantasy Warhammer side of the tabletop. This revamped setting takes place before the Age of Sigmar in the end times, where Kislev's empire is significantly more vast than what we usually see, and brings with it a return to square bases, a mixture of rule sets, among other aspects that look to bring some more concrete lore to this piece of Warhammer history, and has a good chunk of the community excited for its release. However, we don't have a release date. Back in July, it was still announced that the Old World wouldn't be released quote-unquote anytime soon. What if Games Workshop were to force Creative Assembly to push back release to launch both the Old World and Warhammer 3 together? Initially, that doesn't make sense, right? I just said Games Workshop wouldn't want to do anything together with Warhammer 3 as they can't truly monetize that content. This situation is a bit different though. The Old World and Warhammer 3 are, we'll say, sisters of the same dad with different moms, in a gross kind of way. They are extremely similar. Warhammer 3 is honestly just the Old World, but inside of a Total War game rather than on tabletop. GW has a great deal of control over the direction of the game from the sounds of it, and since they hold the license, I can totally see them wanting to release minis that coincide with the Total War game. Hell, I even imagine that some of the bigger Total War Warhammer channels will actually get sponsored by GW, as some already have, to do some Old World mini showings right with Warhammer 3. In this case, it's in Games Workshop's best interest to cross-platform their tabletop release with Warhammer 3, as it feeds both sides in a great way. And if Warhammer 3 does fantastic in sales, Game Workshop benefits. Cross-marketing works when it's done right, and in my opinion, it makes sense to push Total War back, have a massive Old World release party where GW just sits back and brings in the Benjamins, or whatever the equivalent to Benjamins are over across the pond. This last piece turns us away from outside influences, large and or valid as they may be, and turns to Creative Assembly themselves for the harder to swallow point. Amidst the marketing campaign before the break, the Total War Partner Program, of which I am a part of, was invited to test out the survival battles with Kislev versus Khorne. I'm always appreciative of any events I get invited to, even when Warhammer is not 100% my genre of Total War. And indeed, it was pretty good playthrough, I guess, enjoyable enough for what it was. But it wasn't fantastic. And I feel like the community's response to the content generated was less than stellar. This was the first gameplay hands-on experience for partners who've been playing Warhammer for years, and it needed to deliver. It simply didn't. There were, of course, several reasons given. The mode was incredibly simple once you grasped the basics, and the difficulty was attributed to the fact that there were press members who've never played the game before and they needed a win. Yet even with that easy setting, some didn't. And it was a breeze for us, and it really showed in the content created. This survival battle setting was something you would experience maybe 4 times throughout a single campaign, and just was not what the community nor the partners expected to play for our very first glimpse at Warhammer 3. For me and some others that I've talked to, an actual quest battle, maybe one of those still yet to be seen reworked sieges, or even a revamped minor settlement battle would have gone miles further to impress us at a first glimpse. But waves and waves of reduced health demons and a tower defense battle, it's not it. So with that feedback, both from our content generated as well as the Discord AMA event, it's possible that the fizzled reaction to our first gameplay caused not panic per se, but a form of, well, looks like we've got work to do. And as a result, the game is getting some tender loving care, things are getting checked out, updated, balanced, sprayed down with some handy dandy developer depth solution, and that's taking longer than expected, on top of having to get all of this validated by Games Workshop. If this is the case, then I hope Creative Assembly comes out and just says it straight up. Some good old-fashioned honesty is needed in this day and age, and to hear that things were just not where they needed to be regarding the game will go miles further towards satiating the community rather than coming up with some PR jargon that leaves me wanting to take a shower from its non-truth filth. Taking all of this into consideration, it is 100% possible that absolutely none of this is true. CA could come out next week and announce an October release date and just open the floodgates with content that will blow our brains up as we gear for release. But the thing is too, CA has to get this game right. This is the culmination of several years of content and development. Their budget is no doubt massive. Who knows how many are on this game development team? The success of this title, while almost guaranteed, or its failure, could have drastic effects for the company, affecting future licensing opportunities and thus future games in the franchise as a whole. And it's with all of these things to consider that I think we'll see Warhammer 3 delayed well into next year, which will ultimately probably be for the best. Let that thing cook for a while longer, but also be vocal, vulnerable, and honest about it when and if you do announce that delay. It will serve the company way better than if you don't. That will indeed be it for this speculation video. Hopefully I have captivated and even opened your eyes to consider some things you may have yet to think about regarding the marketing of Total War Warhammer 3. If you enjoyed the video at any point, be sure to give it a like, sub to the channel, and turn on bell notifications. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section as well. Got my tinfoil hat on for when I read them. Thank you so much for watching. Look forward to more journalistic content like this in the future. This is Havoc, and I'll see you in the next one.